Hello and welcome everyone to the Community Empowerment Training today on April, I think 13th. 13th, a lucky number. And here we are again, committed to grow as leaders in our personal evolution, because we believe happy leaders are better leaders. And so we meet here every week to de-learn, to dismantle what society, the patriarchy, the water we are swimming in, has put into our brains collectively and subconsciously, and to discover it, dismantle it, and make a conscious choice. There are things which are serving us, and we keep those, and there are things which are not serving us, and we are learning how to rewire our brain and embrace new mindsets, new mental models, and also new heart sets and values, so that we as women and men, we are a mixed gender community, the whole spectrum of all gender choices are welcome here, because we believe that we are experiencing a messy time of transition where the patriarchy has stopped working, is crumbling, and as always in evolution, when there are big societal evolutionary changes, it gets messy for a few years before it becomes really better. And we don't know yet exactly how the new post-patriarchal society will look like. We are just here aligned with the conviction that it has to be based in gender partnership and inspired by love and our soul. So, and today's topic, the focus of today is rejection and our reaction to rejection, or we could call it also rejection management. And as our name of our group here says, Community Empowerment Training, this content came from a request from someone who joined us last week and asked, Sylvia, how can I protect myself better from taking it personal when I experience rejections? And that's such an important question, because, to give you a disclaimer, I believe I'm very powerful. And if you want to learn more about who I am, because I don't want to take time here from us, you can go to a link Anne-Marie will put in the chat box, an about page, which shows my background and my studies and certifications, etc., so that you understand why I claim here to be a powerful executive coach, leadership empowerment mentor, and your fan, cheering you on to be truly, truly happy. I need to make the disclaimer that even though I'm very powerful, I can't protect you from rejection. Rejection, this is the first line of today. The phenomena of rejection is part of life, period. Rejection is depending in what circumstances you are living and in which phase of life you are in. It could be a daily occurrence. And how does rejection show up, especially in leadership, when we as leaders are going into the world? Well, as leaders, we want to lead people. We are always about change and improving things or processes or products or services or the world. So we are always, if we want to or not, in the business of selling ourselves, applying for a special job, right, Marilena, for a special position, for a project, like I did a few weeks ago. Yes, I applied for a job, for a coaching job inside a self-development success company I was so excited about, and arrogantly thinking they will, lick the floor, their fingers, we say, lick their fingers to get me, right? And roll out the red carpet to get me, the super coach. Guess what? I flew out of the application process after the first step. My ego was so hurt. Oh my gosh, it was a good precursor training for this training here today. That was a real intense rejection, because my ego was 99.9% convinced they have to take me, the mega coach from Germany. How would they dare not to take me? They didn't. And I explain later why and how I managed my inner hurt. So as leaders, we are in the business of selling. We are selling ourselves, or our ideas or products or services. So when we go into the world, when we do things publicly, like me here, selling the vision of a post-patriarchal society where world peace is a reality, where paradise, heaven on earth is not a kumbaya, pinky, woo-woo kind of weirdo concept, but a reality. Hello, I experience rejection nearly daily. If you are on social media and have the courage to stand up for what you believe, you get trolled. So rejection, getting a no, getting people to ignore what you are offering. 3 minutes before our starting time, I was still alone here in the online space, and I was thinking, oh, is no one showing up here today? I prepared for nothing. Thank you, Marilena, for shaking your head. But seriously, for a moment, that thought was there. Because, and here I'm so happy we have a man in the house. Seriously, I want you all to be so proud of every man. Wolanyo here is here with us, because we seem to be a women-focused group. But we are not. We are not. And I'm so grateful for every man who has the courage to show up in a seemingly women's group, because there is still a lot of miscommunication, misconception, and misunderstandings between the genders on a leadership level, sadly, globally. So every man showing up here is a step forward. And so again, a reminder for all of us here, please bring your male friends, because my goal is to have as soon as possible 50-50 the numbers of men and women here showing up, because this is measurably, that's measurably the measurement, I'm repeating myself, of the implementation of a post-patriarchal society where men and women, when we are meeting in diverse teams in all sections of society. And I love this gorgeous quote, and I'm probably butchering it, from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the sadly recently deceased judge here in the United States, who said, when she got asked how many seats at that court level, I think they have 7 or 9. Now I'm making myself here a bit of a embarrassment situation, but anyway, they have 7 or 9. And so she got asked how many places, positions, let's declare it 7, need to be filled for her to claim the patriarchy is over. And most people would think her answer might be 4, because that would be more than 50%. And she said, no, 7. 7, and no one is reacting to that. When it's normal that a team, a gremium, could be filled by only women and no one reacts aggressively or critically against that, then we know gender doesn't matter. So she is one of my absolute heroes. So this is what we are here all about. We are about to learn today how to manage our reaction to rejection, because rejection will stay, sadly, probably forever, even in the paradisic new next phase of human evolution, a daily occurrence. Because even, you know, you ask a friend, you want to go to the movies with me, and they say no. And depending how, you know, if you had a crush on that person or how important that evening was, you take that no for a movie night very, very personal. So this is today, my commitment is not to eradicate rejection in your life, which I couldn't, but to empower you in such a way that from this training on, the pain you might experience will not go as deep. It might not even occur at all. And if you feel pain, that you know how to manage that in such a way that you go through it much quicker. So that's my promise, that's my intention here for today. If you have printed out our one sheet, you can follow along, but you don't have to. I try to have an eye on it and go a bit more into that structure so that it can be more useful for you, and don't feel framed by the frames. The frames are a focusing mechanism. You can always turn the piece of paper around and doodle and go wild, because I love using a blank piece of paper because I like visuals as well. So first, the problem is rejection is a daily occurrence for leaders. And what's the problem in that? Rejection hurts. Period. Rejection hurts. And when you take it really deeply in and personal, it can hurt a lot. I believe that rejection is one of the most painful emotional pain we can experience. And I need to give you a mini neuroscience-based excursus. Why is that the case? Why does rejection hurt so much? From a previous training, I hope you remember, how old is the model of our brain? Who can type the number into the chat box? How many years is the model of our brain old? The model, not your individual biological brain. In my case would be 54 years and a few months in the womb of my mom. No, the model we have, how old is it? Let me quickly check the chat box if I can see a number. No one dares to say it. Okay, I repeat it. This is one of those things you start to need to remember, my beloveds here. 25,000 years. Our brain model is 25,000 years old. And at that time, now you might want to switch from gallery view to speaker view. So you see me big on your screen. This here is the explanation. This symbolizes a cave. And in the cave, I hope you can see it, it's big enough. There's a fire and there are people sitting in a circle around the fire. Because 25,000 years ago, this was for most people the style how we lived. And not only lived, how we survived. So when you came in the evening after a nice day in the jungle or savannah or whatever, and you wanted to get back into the cave for overnight protection, and you got a no, if you got a rejection from your family, your tribe, from that group, you then in the night when it was really dark, because they didn't give you entrance to the cave, you died. You either died by coldness because it was too cold, because you didn't get to the fire and the other people and the warmth of the body, or the big sable-tooth tiger came and ate you, right? So rejection from an evolutionary perspective in our model of the brain means death. Rejection means death. Bolani, my dear, please mute yourself. See if I can mute him. I can't. Okay, now, perfect. So historically, our brain, 25,000-year-old model, has hardwired in its neurocircuits the belief or the concept being rejected is really, really dangerous. It could mean the death. It could mean the death of me. So if that gets triggered, it's like an old collective programming. Again, this is a distinction. There are some things I'm repeating again and again every Tuesday because they are part of my empowerment philosophy or body of content I want you to really, really start remembering. When we think and act nowadays as an individual leader, it's not just our individual programming from our own growing up in our own life, which is getting triggered and activated in our brain and our subconscious mind and the back regions here. It's also our collective subconscious mind. Anyone wants to do some research, Google it, collective subconscious mind, Google C.G. Jung. He was the first one who made this whole concept famous. So in our collective subconscious mind, our brains, our consciousness believe rejection is super dangerous. It can mean death, which means when we experience a rejection, our ego, the part of the brain which wants to protect us, gets activated, gets triggered. And the key activator of our subconscious mind for all danger, the subconscious mind uses our body to feel pain, emotional or physical pain is the communication of the subconscious mind. Hello, wake up, there's danger. Susanna and Marie, Catherine, Carol, it's like, wake up, danger. It's a protection mechanism. So if you ask them, oh, you want to go to the movies, or you ask a CEO, can I have that department role? Can I be your vice president? And the answer is no. For the subconscious mind, it's like, danger, that hurts. This is why it's so difficult not to take it personal, not to react, because from a historical neuroscientific evolutionary perspective, it's part of your survival mechanism. It's part of what nature has installed in us to make sure we are safe. So that's for me the first chunk of information. I want you to literally breathe in, take all a deep breath. There is nothing wrong in you feeling hurt by rejection. Because I know some of my friends here, especially in the Southern California and Shanita's yoga spiritual community, they all have this big pressure. Oh, I should never take anything personal. I should live above all these things and I should be beyond that. And well, from a neuroscientific biological perspective, it's understandable that it hurts that much. And by understanding that and accepting it as a first stepping stone to rewire your brain, for me, change always starts with accepting and understanding where we are coming from. We are coming from people who were seeking shelter in caves and who knew rejection might mean the death of them. This is where we come from. So my first step for you is, whenever you experience rejection, to consciously remember, oops, now I'm getting triggered, my ego wants to protect me. And the answer for that first, oops, the first answer for being triggered is literally compassion. Compassion with yourself. There's nothing wrong in feeling hurt by rejection. Please don't. Remember, one of our memes is, what you resist, say it out loud and type it in the chat box. What you resist, one or two, please unmute yourself. What you resist, persists. Exactly. So when you feel the rejection is coming, oh, the no is coming. Like when I was applying for the job and scanning for a week every day my email inbox, and then I saw the email, oh, the anticipation, the fear, opening the email. And then I read this super polite, blah, blah, blah. We so appreciate the efforts in your video interview you sent us, and we are really impressed by your biography and your competence as a coach. But by then my ego was already like, what? I didn't get the job where I was so perfect, I've believed. So compassion is the first thing. That's like one stepping stone. What I'm doing here today is you experience a form of teaching from my side, a form of didactical approach, which in itself is already non-patriarchal. And if you want to learn more about that, go to, this is a link, Anne-Marie, I didn't give you, but you can type it in. It's juicylifeleader.com / and then philosophy. On my page about my philosophy, at the bottom there I have a comparison about how do we learn inside the patriarchy, which is in summary linear, and how do we learn in non-patriarchal ways. And that is not official stuff. The list, you will see that this is my research and this is how I operate with you. So today I'm making that transparent. So instead of linear learning, where you have one content and then building block, another block and another block, it's a bit like a ladder. This is old school linear learning. And if you missed a session or a lesson, and there are holes, well, you're a bit screwed, because then it crumbles and all falls down. That is the old school linear learning. What I'm doing today here with you, or in general when we meet, is I put you in the center, and your evolution, your expansion in all directions as a human being, as a man, as a woman, and anything in between, as a leader in all directions, is my commitment. And we are addressing a topic like today, rejection, from different angles, from different sides. And we are literally circling through these different sides again and again and again. And now it's a bit hard to draw that. It's a meandering, it's a circular learning which meanders between the different perspectives and has this evolutionary tendency to raise your awareness going up, which means, and this is what I'm doing here with my memes, repetition, repetition, repetition. What? Repetition is key in non-patriarchal learning, and to approach a subject matter, what you are learning, from different angles. So we had now historic neuroscience perspective on rejection. This is one angle. Now I switch to a different angle, and this is not linear. The new angle enforces and supports the previous one, but it's not linear, stacked on top of each other, because it's a different domain, it's a different angle I come from. But this is aligned with how our brain operates. Our brain is not linear. If you would look into, what's the name of it? These computer generated sliced images of brains and how they lit up. Brains don't lit up linear. You will not find a straight line inside the brain. The brain connects always in complex patterns and clusters, ideas. And when you experience something, for example, the pain of rejection, it's very rare that only one tiny location lights up. There are different places how it lights up. So the non-linear, the circular, non-patriarchal way of learning mirrors and reflects how the brain rewires new concepts. So, cave brain, and now we jump, and I go into law. I want to share with you something from a law perspective, from a perspective of, as you already all know, or hear now from my accent, I'm from Germany. And I checked this morning the German version and also the translated version from our so-called basic law of the Federal Republic of Germany. It's like the similar thing, like Americans have their constitution. We have this basic law. So wherever you live, your society where you live is grounded in a kind of foundational law. And why did I do that? Because I know now for several decades, the first article and the first sentence of the German basic law is so beautiful and so deeply ingrained in my philosophy of my teaching. Interestingly, I'm so glad I looked up the translation into English, the official one, because there is a slight difference in the meaning and connotations. That's always the issue with translations. So I give you both, and I will then explain why I give you that and what does it have to do with rejection. So the first article in the German basic law of the Federal Republic of Germany is, in English, it says, human dignity shall be, and now I struggle a bit with the pronunciation, shall be inviolatable. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Inviolatable. Human dignity shall be inviolable. The German says, I say it in German and then translate it one-to-one in my English. The German says, die menschliche Würde, die Würde des Menschen ist unantastbar. Die Würde des Menschen ist unantastbar, which means in my English understanding, the dignity of humans is untouchable, is untouchable. For me, in my understanding of meaning and connotation, there's quite a big difference between shall be inviolatable versus is untouchable. It is untouchable. Period, 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 period. And I want you really to get this. So this is you. I'll give you a smile today because you're here. This is you, and you do something as a leader. You say something. And people are maybe criticizing that, and I make you like errors. Yeah, people say no, or how could you, or they be really mean, like you are bad. Yeah, you're a bad leader, a bad person. This is you, and people attack you or criticize you, or rejection is coming. If it's true that the dignity is untouchable, and that is something which really stayed with me now for decades, which really helps me. I have this visual of like an energetic egg I'm living in, like a protective.
Sylvia?
Yes.
Sita put in the comments, or they may say nothing, which she finds even worse. So if you might be ignored.
Yes, there's like just a bubble of nothingness. Oh my gosh, yeah, which leads, thank you, Theta, for that example. I share one of, when we talk about how to heal your fear and pain around rejection, I will share a situation where it exactly was that, where they didn't say anything. So what helps me in my life, this is very personal, and I don't say that it works for everyone. I mean, some of you might say, oh, what do I have to do with the German law? I'm sharing here personally. You see what resonates. This is the circular meandering way of learning. I give you different milestones, different nuggets, different stepping stones, how to look at and address rejection. And you take obviously those which resonate with you. I love the concept of the human dignity is untouchable. I find this amazingly empowering. And I have burned that literally in my brain. I drew this drawing, a stick figure and an egg-shaped circle around it. And I remind myself, I found this out in my early 20s when I studied, oh my gosh, I forgot. I studied law of justice for a few years. For me, this is my image about every human being. And it helps me to realize when the errors, the attacks, the no's, the silence, the rejection is coming. Not every time, like when I opened the email, I forgot to think of it. But when I think of it, I literally visualize this kind of this egg energy, this kind of protective shield going up, and I remind myself, my dignity is untouchable. I want you all to touch your body. I like to put my hands on my chest to warm and protect my heart, but you choose, you can touch your shoulders or your thighs, but connect with your body, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and then say out loud or think it if you're in a public place, my dignity is untouchable. Gosh, I had shivers running down my spine when I said that. My dignity is untouchable. And if you want one of the most disturbing and most touching books to read about that phenomena, there is psychotherapist, amazing man called Viktor Frankl. Frankl, I'm not sure if it's K-L-A or C-L-A, Viktor Frankl, and he wrote the book Min and the Pursuit of Meaning, I think is the English title. He survived a concentration camp in former Germany, former East Germany. He survived a concentration camp, and he writes in that, it's a thin book, but it's so deep, it's so powerful. So he described how the Nazis systematically tried to break people's spirits, tried to break the dignity of people. Excuse me, makes me always choke up remembering how when I read this book, I cried. I cried, so I think, through the whole reading of this book. He describes how he and a few of his close friends, how not only survived they physically long enough till they got liberated from the concentration camp, but how they were protecting their spirit, their integrity, of their dignity and of themselves, no matter what horrors the Nazis exposed them to. And that book for me is one of the most, excuse me, is one of the most beautiful, real, true story examples of how strong we humans in reality are. And we sadly, our ego, our mind forgets that. Yeah, there's, someone says no to a movie invitation, or we are applying for 50 jobs, or I had last fall my first gallery opening with my art, and my gallerist loved it and gave it, surprisingly in my eyes, for a first exhibition, a high amount of value yet, but no one bought the painting. So rejection is part of our life. And sometimes it can hurt so much because our subconscious mind believes, oh my God, there's danger, we might die. We forget, we are not connected with, and this is part now of our bigger topic. I'm switching now again the perspective from the patriarchy. The patriarchy is not designed, it's not teaching you to be empowered. The patriarchy, in order to exploit you, especially with capitalism, wants you to be weak. The patriarchy benefits from you being in pain by rejection. Because what do you do when you feel rejected? And to be now honest, don't say it out loud here in public, but just be honest. When you feel rejected, what do? There is a reaction to our rejection. For me, it sadly often has to do with food. When I feel rejected, oh my gosh, a big chunk of cheesecake or a nice brownie with whipped cream and oozing chocolate drizzles over it, that can really soothe my hurting little ego. And as bigger the rejection, as bigger the piece of cake or the bowl of ice cream. Ooh! So we all have our individual reaction to rejection. And the patriarchy loves it if it has to do with numbing, for example, through TV or Facebook scrolling, or being enviously surfing on Instagram. The patriarchy loves that. Worst reactions are obviously alcohol and drugs, or you feeling rejected and then not being able to heal it, integrate it, release it, projecting that rejection forward and rejecting and hurting someone else. That's the worst. And we see that especially in big corporations, with lots of patriarchal typical hierarchy levels. Someone on level 1, 2, or 3 gets rejected, doesn't get their benefits or their raise of salary, or gets rejected privately. A lover or mistress says no. Oh my gosh, I don't want to meet them on Monday on the job, because their frustration, their anger about the rejection over the weekend, they dribble that down through the hierarchies, and the whole company, hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, can become miserable because a leader in the top ranks got, I'm sorry, privately over the weekend, not the sex he or she wanted, and suddenly everyone else is suffering the whole next week, and they make decisions subconsciously based on anger, frustration, and hurt, because they didn't go here through the training. They are not owning their own reaction to rejection. This is why your happiness is so important. This is why I'm so committed with the Juicy Life Leader Academy, which is opening its doors next week, to ensure your happiness. Because when you know how to manage rejection, when you know your dignity is untouchable, it's just your old model of a brain reacting to the rejection as if this is a death sentence, then you know you don't need to numb it with food or TV or drugs or alcohol, or you don't need to become angry and project the hurt down through the hierarchies of your corporation onto others, or worst, absolutely worst, domestic abuse, physical or sexually. Oh my gosh, I feel tears coming up. So much, especially now during the pandemic. A lot of people perceive the lockdown lifestyle as a rejection by life. Ooh, they can't go out, they can't go partying. Ooh, there are horrible things happening right now. Losing a job is a big form of rejection. Losing money is a huge form of rejection. And a lot of people sadly are not informed and trained how to deal with that. And then sadly, and this is a bit gender sadly specific, because the patriarchy based, and this is another big topic, based in the archetype of the warrior, and men don't cry and the man has to be strong. A lot of domestic sexual and physical abuse is a coping mechanism of people, and often statistically men, being stuck in the pain of the current huge amount of rejection. Here in the United States are several trends right now caused by the pandemic and other things, which are creating lots of frustration. In the recent days, my husband and I, we was worried, even though we are benefiting from it. Our house value is jumping up in the moment nearly every week by $10,000 to $20,000 every week. Good for us, you could think, but we are not, part of us is happy about it, but another part in us is really worried. Because here in the United States right now, we are building up to a new house market bubble, and a lot of people who can't afford to be cash buyers, to put down $400,000, $500,000, $800,000, by the way, during a pandemic, they are getting more and more bought out. Corporations are buying off the market private housings, which are for normal people, like you and me. They're getting bought out. The market is so brutalizing again, the real estate market here, which creates, this is a form of rejection. Rejection is not just from one person to another. There are things in society which create rejection. So many of the Trump voters voted for Trump because he offered them a band-aid for their pain of rejection over years accumulated. Rejection is not just an individual pain, it can be a pain of a group in society, of whole people. So what we are talking here today, and what I hope you leave here today with some learning and shifts, it's crucial. And you have my permission or my plea to share that. When this goes up on YouTube, you can share the link. I want literally everyone in the world to learn that their dignity is untouchable. Even if you lose a job or money or a lover or an opportunity or a social circle or a friend, doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It doesn't mean that your life ends. This is a form of resilience. As mature adults and as leaders, we need to develop. Otherwise, we become dangerous for others. Sita asked, how can I be a leader if my social engagement is low? How can I be a leader when my social engagement is low? I believe that every human being who lives consciously, even if they are living retreated in a little cabin in the forest, as more you raise your awareness and come from love and create inner alignment first before outer actions, you are a leader for me. For me, your leadership doesn't depend on how many people you have under you, as the patriarchy says. Leadership means for me, first, leading ourselves. And I believe, and this is another big topic, I just give a few words like quantum physics, field, unity. Sita, ultimately the answer depends on your worldview, how you define what the universe is, how you define what it means to be a human, how you define what divine is, and to not go into all these big complex topics. I personally believe we are all connected. We are all one. It's a big abstract word. And by being a leader of yourself, raising your awareness and not being a drifter, manipulated and pushed around by society, you are a strong leader, even if your social engagement is close to zero, even if you have zero activity on social media, even if you live at home in lockdown and hardly speak with anyone. Through the field connection, through our collective consciousness, through our undeniable connection which exists, you can lead the world from your couch. Does that answer your question, Sita?
There's lots of things you just said, but it's a good direction for the thought, and I think that's important because we are all on social media all the time, or like sometime. I'm avoiding it because it doesn't give me back what I feel like I need. But it's the way to develop my business, right? So, and then I become personally attached to how the world receives me. And even though I'm working on it, it's the rejection that is consistent, right? And it requires patience. But understanding that it doesn't mean I'm not a leader just because people are not validating me. It's good. It's a good thought block, you know?
There, I see two potential interesting trainings for us here, from what you just said. One is about social media and leadership. I think this would be a good topic for in a few weeks. And I make the disclaimer, I'm not an expert in social media marketing, but I have a lot of experience, dealing and managing it and everything. So that could be a session. The other one, what you just said, I'm a leader independent from the validation of others. Oh my gosh, this is huge. This is so huge. And that is something I'm personally working on in recent months. And that has to do with trust. Mm-hmm. And that again is in the context of how you define for yourself your view of the universe. But that, let's make a note. I wrote it down. Let's talk about that another time, because we would otherwise go too much away from our focus today and time-wise. But Sita, you are bringing here brilliant connections to our meandering circular learning here.
Thank you.
Sylvia, could you just say that one sentence again? I am a leader, independent. I didn't get the rest of it. I was writing it down. I am a leader.
If I would remember what I said, I'm a leader, and I don't know what I said. Can someone finish the sentence? What did I say? I'm a leader, independent
of what others think, maybe?
The non-validation of others. Despite the non-validation of others,
yes,
is the note I made. Those weren't maybe not the exact words, but that's what I noted.
And I think Sita said it first. Yes. That was brilliant. Yeah.
Be a leader without the validation of others.
Yes, beautiful. It all points to the independence of all of us. And this is a paradox, and this is now a bit abstract philosophical. We live in a paradoxical world, and for our brain, how we are in the linear learning model, we are not trained by the patriarchy to understand and hold paradoxes. This is one of the major ways how the patriarchy keeps us stupid, literally. So it's a paradox. We are all one, we are all connected, and we are individual. And by claiming, I am a leader, independent, how many people I have under my official leadership, independent if I get validation or not, independent if I have 0 or 10,000 followers on Instagram, I'm a leader sitting alone at home on my couch because I'm working on my inner alignment, I'm working on my awareness, I'm working on taking ownership and responsibility for what I think and what I feel, how I treat my body. That, for me, is leadership. Stepping into the full freedom and responsibility. And this is here something culturally where I sometimes really struggle with my beloved United States American peers, because they emphasize freedom. And I was so proud this morning. I reread, which I haven't done for decades, the basic law of the Federal Republic of Germany, where all the first articles are about different freedoms. I was not aware of that. And yet we define freedom as a medallion, as a coin, where one side is freedom and the other side is responsibility. I'm German, I love responsibility. My American friend peers, sometimes not so much. It's all freedom, freedom, freedom. You know what? Freedom comes with responsibility. I believe you can't have one without the other. I can't be responsible for my actions or anything if I'm not free. And when I'm free, I have a ton of responsibility. So, but let me take a deep breath. I feel called to go into politics, but I'm not doing this here. So let's refocus on rejection and our reaction, because I would like to close this whole topic today. And we see, if you come up in the end with too many questions, we have to make a part 2. So we have the problem, we understand that it will never go away, rejection is part of our life. We understand historically, neuroscientifically, where the big pain is coming from. We also got the other perspective of a paradigm, a mindset, a reminder you can take on by the meme of that the human dignity is untouchable, and you can take away, if you choose to, this imprint of an image of a cocoon, an energetic protection shield. And what I want to give you in the last minutes is 2-3 other perspectives and a path out of all of that. Another perspective of the non-patriarchal, non-linear learning is to always look for, this is part of here, the branding of our community empowerment training. I always look for what is the, and I say it, what is the patriarchal lie? A lie is a strong word. For me, there is, in everything I'm teaching, and this is how I also structure the Juicy Life Leader Academy, the monthly modules, I always look for what is it in our patriarchal collective subconscious mind, the blind spot, the lie, the thing we were fed, which keeps us stuck where we are and not grow. So when it comes to rejection, the patriarchal lie is, and it's so simple and so deep that you all think, Sylvia probably will think, Sylvia, this is not a lie, this is the truth. The patriarchy says that you didn't get the job or the no or the silence from others, that you did that rejection hurts you. The patriarchal lie says rejection hurts you. And in the seemingly innocent sentence, rejection hurts you, who has the power? Who has the power?
We do.
in that sentence? Rejection.
No, it's the rejection.
Exactly.
The subject is the rejection.
The subject in the sentence, which the patriarchy teaches us, the rejection hurts you. The hurter, the actor, is always the one in power. In the paradigm, in the thinking box of the patriarchy, you are doomed to hurt because rejection hurts. This is the same, I'm sorry, I'm getting now agitated, BS lie as we hear in famous love songs. Love hurts. This is patriarchal indoctrination. This takes away your power, your ownership, your responsibility, and your freedom. The correct non-patriarchal way of saying it is rejection triggers your brain. And if you don't make a conscious choice or manage yourself differently, the automated response from you will be hurt, will be pain. We all have the power to use rejection to feel, to cause hurt in us. It's not the rejection who hurts us. I use the rejection to hurt myself. I'm the one in power here. My dignity is untouchable. Yet, when someone says no or shows me the cold shoulder, as we say in Germany, doesn't even talk to me, it triggers something in my brain. And if I'm not stepping into my leadership of myself, if I'm not managing my reaction, I will hurt. But that hurt, that pain in me, I create that. That is the door. That is the switch to your power and your freedom if you allow that to sink in. There's one big enemy to that, what I just said. The biggest enemy to what I just said is the righteousness of our ego, which prefers to blame others. The ego prefers to show and point the fingers outside here. They hurt me, they rejected me. That stupid CEO didn't understand how amazing I am. That stupid lover didn't recognize how gorgeous and sexy I am. This friend is stupid, not going out to the movies with me. They, them, the ego wants to be righteous and say, you hurt me, they hurt me, he, she, you. But that's not getting you to connect with your power and your freedom. As a leader who wants to evolve outside the patriarchal paradigm, one step is with compassion and understanding, to take ownership. When you open, when you open literally here your shield for certain attacks, and when you take it personal, remember the question from our last week's peer causing here this training, how can I stop taking it personal? And I know we are at the full of the hour. I probably need 5 to 10 more minutes. If you need to go, please do so and watch the replay for the rest, because I'm showing you now the way out. It's us who take, I mean, the language is brilliant. We take things personal. So my hope is that some nuggets, some things I gave you today, which will empower you, and I have more, to stop taking things personal. And there are different ways of doing that, of stopping to take things personal. But my first key here is for you to fully embrace your power and responsibility, that you are the one who takes it personal. And you could choose not to do that. And this egg image and the sentence, the human dignity is untouchable, is just one of those things I'm offering here as one thing I'm using. Another thing is to manage, and this goes back into one of our other trainings, but I forgot right now which one, the one where we talked about attachment and aversion, whichever one that was. As more we are attached to something, it's a bit Buddhist philosophy, yeah, life is suffering. Suffering comes from too much attachments. As more we are attached to something, as more the rejection of that to what we are attached to hurts. And that's just neurophysiologically. To make it very simple, attachment is an emotional charge where you fixate your attention on something. Like with this job a few weeks ago, my ego was so attached to that because the company has quite a big brand and it's a sub-owned company by a big guru I would like to get in personal contact with. My ego had already a vision how I would step out of this just coaching role and become one of their shooting stars on stages and would be on sharing the stage with this guru, the owner of the company. So I had this kind of vision for the next 3, 4, 5 years mapped out. I was completely attached to it. I already saw how my connection with that guru would help me fill my Juicy Life Leader Academy, because ultimately I was not dedicated to grow their company. I wanted to use that job for my company, right? I had it, my ego had it all mapped out and I was really attached. It was so juicy and cool. I wanted that. And then they took it. Then they didn't give it to me. Oh, it was attachment. I saw the email. It was a Thursday after lunch. Thanks God. Probably otherwise I would have either overeaten or not eaten. So in my case, I talked with my ego. I knew what was going on. That doesn't mean it didn't hurt. And I just did for me what I needed in the moment, which was retreating. When my ego is that hurt, I just need to retreat and be gentle and nice to myself. And I know I have my rituals in the evening before I go to bed. I knew that overnight, latest next morning, Friday morning, when I wake up, I'm good. And that was the case. So it took me, let's say, half day and the night to rewire the things and simply let go by being honest. By being honest that I really didn't want the job. I wanted the job because it was a stepping stone, a door to my vision I wanted to use that company to fulfill. So I was just, retreating and spending time in my hammock or my couch sofa in comfortable places alone, and went honestly through what my ego created and caused the attachment. And in the end, I was able to acknowledge them, to look through my interview video I had created and to realize I was not a good fit for that job, what they were looking for. And the job was not really a good fit for me. It was just my ego who ran through with the projection and created that attachment. So why I share that is analyzing your own attachment. Why are you attached to something? Why do you want from that person the validation? And as a side note here, also from another training, remember our brain has a so-called negativity bias. I hope you remember that negativity bias. Let's say you buy something new, a new car, a new home, a new dress, trousers, whatever, or a new watch, and you show it to your friends, and most friends give you compliments. Oh my God, gorgeous house, gorgeous car, gorgeous dress, whatever. One person doesn't like it and says something negative about it. Your brain, two things combined, attachment to the new things you are in love with, plus the negativity bias, your brain will not hear the chorus of the 40 people who love what you bought yourself. No, the brain will remember that one negative rejection voice who said, what an ugly house. This is for which you moved? Oh my God, oh, what, that watch costs so much? How could you, right? So by understanding how your brain works, combining that with honesty and compassion, it takes just a few breaths to let go of the attachment of what you thought is the right thing, and the whole world should, kneel down and congratulate you for, which is all just the ego. And realize, and this is the last nugget, the last different aspect I want to finish here today. I forgot where I read that sentence the first time. It could be that it was from Osho, which was the guru of the sannyasins. I have a tarot card set from him, the Zen tarot card deck. I think it was from him, but I'm not sure, who said, rejection is God's protection. I like to take the word God a bit out because I don't want to go into a religious discussion. So for me, personally, I say now, rejection is protection. Rejection is protection. So instead of the patriarchal box, rejection hurts you, I choose. I choose. I don't say this is written into stone, this is a cosmological truth. I choose to remind myself rejection is protection. And my favorite example in my own life is this. I was in my late 20s, very early 30s, engaged 2 times with 2 different men in Germany, and both didn't work out. The first one was mutually dissolved as friends, and the second one was quite brutally that my fiancé dropped me. I mean, in the most, sudden, shocking, hurting, tearing my heart and soul apart way. For months, I believed I will never get over that breakup. I will never be whole and things again. And now I'm married for over 20 years happily with my soulmate, Peter. I would not have met my husband and would not have married him if these 2 first engagements would have worked out. I'm now so grateful for my second fiancé, that his spirit, his soul, our angels, whatever, made him drop me, because that pain caused me at that time to look for support, which got me into self-development of a specific path, where, guess what? Around a year later, I met at a spiritual conference my now husband. I would not have met my now husband, obviously, when I would have been married with my second fiancé. So this is for me one of the many gazillion examples where what first was a rejection turned out into a protection and perfect circumstances. So as a homework for all of you, I ask you in the next days to go down memory lane and write down from your own life to affirm this concept, rejection is protection, examples where you first were disappointed or even heard that something didn't work out, a job you didn't get, a lover you didn't get, a house you didn't get, and in the end, turned into something way better. Please make a list of as many examples as you can. If you like, send me your number, just an email with the number 58 or 17, whatever, or share in the number under the video on YouTube. Just let's really focus on that. Rejection is protection. And again, I offer this as a choice, what you as a leader choose as your context, as your paradigm from operating from. You can choose to say, well, rejection hurts me. It's your choice, and it's aligned with society. You are aligned with patriarchy, or you choose to step out of it. You can choose to believe my dignity is untouchable, and rejection is protection. That's it from my side. Make sure to save the chat box with the little 3 dots so that you have also all the links. I would love to hear maybe from one of you, like a key aha. Was there anything I said either fundamentally shifting something, or an aha, making you happy or disturbing you? Is there any open question? I would love to hear one or two of you. And if no one wants to talk here because it is public, then I will stop the recording. And you can say also stop the recording and then I ask that. But is there anything you would like to share with the world? Any insight? Anyone? Hands up? No. That doesn't seem to be the case. Then let me officially finish here today. Thank you all for being live here, and just stay here a few seconds longer when I close official recording here. And beloved viewer of the replay on YouTube, if you want to join us live here so that you can get micro coaching questions answered or determine with your questions what we discuss the following week, please join us. The link is juicylifeleader.com/free training. All the links to sign up here for our community free training are below the video here on YouTube. And please subscribe to my channel so it gets more exposure, and definitely share this episode and others. I have two, like the whole branding as a Juicy Life Leader TV, and we have two playlists now growing. One is here, the community empowerment training, and the other one is for our Juicy Life Leader Compass, which is only bi-weekly, twice a month, once on Friday, once on Tuesdays later, to cover more different time zones. So you find them, all the replays, on YouTube. I'm so delighted to meet you here live in person, or knowing you are watching the replay, because the world needs you. You matter, and your happiness is the biggest gift to the world. Thank you for showing up, and I hope to see you next week.